Hey guys, Delt here. I decided to try out a more supportive role in Deadlock, and this is my favorite way to play the game now. When I'm using the term support, I'm meaning two things: healing and enabling. Some of the different heroes in this game have abilities that heal, and there are also items in the game that heal as well. Enabling teammates can mean a variety of different things, but locking down enemies with crowd control or buffing teammates with different stats like fire rate and lifesteal are ways to do this as well. The two characters that I've primarily been playing are Ivy and Viscous because I really enjoy their mobility and what they can bring to a team for both of the two things that we just mentioned. I will go over some of the other classes who are capable of this playstyle, but I haven't played them as much, so I don't know exactly how effective each character is with this playstyle. And also, I think I'm still on a relatively low elo after only playing the game for about a week now, but I was able to get an 8-game win streak just playing solo queue by enabling 1 or 2 players on my team. So let's get into it. Alright, so I already said that I've mostly been playing Ivy and Viscous in this supporting type role, and I'm just going to go over these two characters and a few others that I think are really good for this. So first off, Ivy, you have this pretty decent sized AoE. That's also a slow. So while you're doing that, here, let me just do it with no cooldowns. While you throw this out, it's going to make your teammates be able to hit them easier. Her 2 is a tether that connects to a teammate, and you both gain fire rate, bullet lifesteal, and your teammate gets 30% of the healing that you receive. So if you attach this to someone, now that you have bullet lifesteal, while you're hitting them, you're also going to be healing your teammate. Another small thing with this is that it connects with your 3 ability. With your 3 ability, you turn into a stone gargoyle, smashing into the ground, stunning and damaging enemies, but it also heals you. So when you do that, it's a stun, it's damage, and it's health for yourself. But if you're connected to an ally and you're going in and you stone form, you're also healing your ally for 30% of the health that your stone form would give you. All right, and then Ivy's last ability is another pretty big support ability, but a lot of people have been using it as a damaging one. It's honestly both. If you press 4 twice or like self cast it, I have it set to dual cast. You fly into the air. You can left click to speed up, left shift to move up, control to move down, and you can also drop this bomb onto the ground and it'll knock up an enemy, which you could immediately then go stone form and basically double stun them. When you upgrade your 4 all the way, it also turns into a silence. You get a bullet shield and minus 20% bullet resistance on all enemies hit. So this is just a really great engage. Like, say that you're gonna be fighting this guy and your teammate's starting to walk up toward him, but you're ahead. You can kind of just go around a little bit and then do that, lock him down, throw a little slow down, and your teammates are going to be able to kill this guy. Majority of the time, he should be dead from that. Another thing that your 4 can do is actually save people. So you see this little radius in front of us here? As long as somebody's in that, you can actually pick them up and carry them away too. And they also now turn into the bomb, so you can still do the same thing and just pull somebody from one lane to another to be able to just continue to snowball whoever's strong and get their lead even stronger. So that's what I mean by like healing and enabling. We have heals, and we can also stun and knock up people and move people where they need to be if they don't seem to have the best positioning. So yeah, that's Ivy. All right, and moving on to Viscous. He's more of like a supporty tank, but I do like his mobility with his ultimates. Let's just go over the first couple abilities. Your 1 is pretty much the same thing as Ivy's, except it's all front-loaded damage. So instead of damage over time, you're gonna throw your goo splatter, it's gonna hit them, and whoever is in this splatter is also gonna be slowed. So just as like a little point of reference, he's slowed while he's within the goo. Your 2 ability is your main supportive ability, and it's just a cube that you can put on an ally or yourself. While he's in this cube, he can't take any damage. And he's also healing because you get increased health regen. So like you just do that and you're healing and nobody can hurt you. Just be careful, because if you do that, there's a lot of times that people will try to just wait it out. So a big recommendation is if you're using it on yourself, don't wait the full time. Like, get as much health as you think you need and then just go. And then your last ability is, it scales as a light attack, which is kind of weird. It's called Puddle Punch, and you make this little punch and it knocks people around. It's really strong in the early game. All right, so your E is also great for mobility. You could do like a dash jump, puddle punch jump, and get across the map pretty quick. That's almost 1 lane's worth of mobility just from doing this. And then you could also slide after. I missed it that second time, but that's the main idea. You could just quickly get around by doing that, and you could also use it to save yourself if you're getting chased, to get a tiny bit more healing if you throw your cube up. All right, and then Viscous's ultimate is a goo ball. You turn into a ball, you roll around, you deal damage, you stun people, you're really annoying, you bounce off walls, and when you hit people, you stun them. So like, you could just be doing stuff like that. It's kind of hard to get down at first, but once you get it, it can be useful. The main thing with the goo ball is when you level it all the way, you can also use your abilities while you're in it. So like, as you're rolling around, you could like stun him. I missed it, but you could do that and like stun him and knock him up, or like just deal some damage. Honestly, this isn't my favorite ability when it comes to fighting. I like to use his goo ball more so as a mobility tool. So like, hey, we just push this lane up, let's go to the other one. And now I'm with my teammates and I can just quickly get a knockoff, knock him up again, keep going. I'm missing all my abilities, so yeah, just hit them. All right, so another cool thing about Viscous with support items.
Look who's ready for a 2 a.m. metro ride.
Say your teammate's in there and he's in a very bad situation, you need to get him out, you can goo ball him and then you could just rescue beam him away. While he's invulnerable, he's not taking damage, he's getting 2 times healing because he's getting healing from his cube and he's getting healing from the rescue beam. Another really cool thing with Viscous late game is you can get an echo shard, and so it's like you're in a bad situation, you saved him, you need to save yourself now. That's 2 cubes immediately. Or you use that to save somebody from an ultimate, you echo shard, and you can keep fighting. And while you're doing this, maybe he needs another cube because like now a Mo and Curl ulted him. And it's like, all right, yeah, we're getting out of here now. Come on. So yeah, that's pretty much Viscous. I usually don't like to level my ultimate first. I usually level my 1 because then it just gives really good wave clear and it's really good disruption in the middle of a team fight, putting all these little goo splatters down that are slowing down enemy speed. And it also does a relatively decent amount of damage because whatever you're not building into support, you're just going to build into spirit power with this guy instead. Like if you look at my build here, I have 2 different Viscous builds. This one you can find if you want. This is more of just like a regular Viscous build with a couple little support builds added in. This is a very much just I'm pure support Viscous, but as you can tell, the majority of what we're building is going to be spirit power. You just want to increase your damage with your 1, so then that's your main damage source, and then other than that, you're just going to be supporting your teammates. All right, and then we have other notable mentions. I really don't like playing Kelvin, but Kelvin is a really great support as well. For example, a lot of people will level up his 1 first. You don't even need to level it all the way, you could just level it to level 2. And your Frost Grenade now heals 145 health to friendly targets. This is the same exact ability as Viscous, except instead of leaving the slow on the ground, there's just a slow on the enemy now. His 2, I kind of don't like, but you make little ice paths. It's really good because whoever your teammates are on this also gain move speed. So it's a nice little mobility tool that you can gain for your teammates. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the idea of Kelvin a lot of the time. So I feel like I'm very much making this sound underwhelming when it's really strong. All right, and then Kelvin's last ability is absolutely ridiculous. You shoot an Arctic beam, and this makes it to where enemies get slowed and have reduced fire rate. And it's absolutely ridiculous how slow this actually makes you. It literally, I had a 38 kill game on Haze, and there was a Kelvin on the team who wasn't necessarily the most strong, but because of the Arctic beam, I couldn't kill him just because he reduced my fire rate so much. It literally like brings your gun from shooting, say like this to like this when it's fully stacked. And meanwhile, instead of like running, you're like, it's pretty ridiculous. All right, and then Kelvin's ultimate is absolutely ridiculous. You put up this frozen shelter, and every teammate in here is getting more health, and every enemy is getting slowed. And you might just be thinking that that seems underwhelming if you've never played against Kelvin, or you've never played as Kelvin. But like, for example, you can make this like a 1v4. And nobody on the outside can get in. Another really random thing with his ultimate is you see that the rejuvenator's there. That's what drops down after somebody kills the boss. If you run in and your entire team jumps in and you know that you're gonna have the advantage, like you have a Hazeled or something, like if you and Hayes go in at the same time, you drop this down, nobody can pick up the rejuvenator right now. So instead you're just in this and you're fighting, and if you have a really strong ult like a Haze on your team or a Wraith, you could just wipe the entire team before they could even pick this up. It can also be used to like save your towers, like say your teammate's dead and you're trying to save a Guardian or a Walker. You could just do this and wait for your teammates to show up. It'll buy some time. It's not necessarily the best way to use it, but he's just really good at controlling the entire game. Like, I feel like Kelvin's supposed to be a support, but in my opinion, he's sort of just turns into a carry. On to the next one. We have Dynamo, wherever he is down here.
Let me collect my extremities and I'll be right there.
Dynamo is an absolutely great support, by the way. He's an absolutely great character in general. I just haven't really spent a lot of time into learning him yet. All right, so with his one, it's a little pulse that knocks up enemies. And there you go, crowd control. Already have it in the one ability. And a knockup, in my opinion, is always going to be better than a slow, because they literally just can't move from there unless they have dashes. Your 2 ability.
Building a wormhole.
It's a little teleport. It seems underwhelming until you realize that you could bring your teammates with you. So like, see how we get here?
If I reassemble.
I'm bringing them with me now. Oh, this is dangerous. Let's go over here. That was kind of awkward placement, but
time to push with the rejuvenator.
Again, Hazel, 7 ult. Like if there's a 7 ult and you need to get behind something, you just bring your teammate with you. It's a little buggy, but it'll at least save them because you're invulnerable during this little animation.
Time for applied science.
Not only is it used to save teammates, but it's also an attack speed increase. Look, we have like pretty decent attack speed, and then it just gets boosted. That also works for your teammates too. It's not just you, and so you're both saving and enabling with this ability. So if you get really good at using it, it could be crazy, especially if you like teleport in with someone, knock them up, and now you both have increased attack speed for like your mini Wraith ult. All right, and then his last ability, again, seems somewhat underwhelming, but it's a support ability that you're just sitting and you're healing your teammates within this radius. It's 32 health per second, which isn't the most at first, but it can scale really hard. And if you upgrade it all the way, you gain move speed while you're using it. There's a reduced cooldown, and it's also healing everyone else while you're still able to move and shoot and do all the other things. All right, and then we have our last ability for this character, our ultimate. All right, this is the pinnacle of support right here. Your team's in the middle of a team fight. You're kind of losing. You're sort of okay enough though. You just healed everyone up. You could just go in, and if you catch them off guard with this, like if you're, for example, like you loop around, you come in from behind them where they don't see you.
Releasing singularity.
They can't do anything during this, and your team just kills them.
This takes me back to undergrad.
Sir Dynamo.
So with Dynamo, there's also a little tech that you could use I never made a Dynamo build yet, so my bad. My brain is forgetting which this is on. You could also warpstone with that. All right, you could also warpstone with your 4.
Please.
Just to get in there easier. And like, sure, you could do this, but just doing like a warpstone is so much faster.
I put a stop to that.
So I feel like with Dynamo, again, I haven't put the most time into him. I would probably do like mostly heals here and then just have the warpstone as the last thing.
I'm doing it.
But again, this is a very, honestly, it's not even a late game item. It's only 3,000. Yeah. Yeah. Dynamo, everybody. All right. And the last hero I'm going to talk about here is Mcginnis. Mcginnis, in my opinion, is the worst. And it's just because she's really slow. She only has 2 charges here. And like the majority of the time, you're just going to build her as a gun build because I don't really see the need for like, I don't know. She just seems like a very strong gun user, especially with items like intensifying magazine.
Someone's looking to make a statement.
You can just start to do a ton of damage.
An example to us all.
But if you wanted to play as Mcginnis and use her as a support, your 1 puts down a little turret here and it shoots at enemies. This scales off of spirit power. So if you're planning to build Mcginnis as a support, you could technically have 2 different roles to choose from. You could be a spirit power support, or you could be a weapon damage support. But yeah, this is just your little turret. Your second thing is a little heal that you can place down on the ground. And this is why I'm thinking that Mcginnis could also be a support, but I don't really know how well this is. In my mind, I'm thinking stuff like improved reach
Good luck
would make this better. Yeah, look at how big this heal is now.
Look at those wounds. Turrets online.
Like, this is a pretty big area heal. And you could also do like improved reach, superior duration.
I got us covered.
And then once you get like heal booster on it too, it should be healing a decent amount in my opinion.
Need more protection. You know where to find me.
Anyway, that's Mcginnis's 1 and 2. Her 3 puts up a wall. If you hit people with it, it stuns them. And as you can see, like I did here, I knocked this guy toward us and these 2 away. So that's just something you could do, like, oh no, they're killing our tower.
This is our battlefield.
Put a wall down. Like, sorry. Typically you're gonna be further back. Oh no, they're killing our tower. Now they can't. Or, oh, let's catch this guy out.
Time to block them off. Turrets up.
All right, and then Mcginnis's last ability is her ultimate. It shoots rockets.
I'm going high. If you don't hit my turrets yet, you're gonna real soon.
Yep, that's it. That's Mcginnis.
Aren't you, Mcginnis?
Main reason why I'm thinking that she'd be a really strong support is because of this 2 ability to heal your teammates and this 3 ability to catch people out if you don't place it wrong like I did there. All right, so if I was to build Mcginnis as a support, I would probably do a spirit build because this radius gets increased even more by the more spirit you have. So like, let's just, for gigs right now, let's just say we grab that and we grab like, I don't know, escalating exposure. Look at how big this heal is now. You're healing basically your entire base, or like one side of it. And while you're also scaling this up, you're also scaling up your ultimate and your turret damage. So like, you don't necessarily need to fight with your gun anymore now. You just sort of like place things around. Yeah, Mcginnis seems like she'd actually be a lot of fun, that I'm thinking about it, because you could do like refresher with her too. This is a very late game build. You're probably never gonna get here, but like, You just like refresh your
Defenses are up.
turrets. You put a heal down.
All right, buddy. Give him hell.
And then like while you're not busy healing, like your teammates don't need health, but like they're in this and they're fine. That's when you could use your ultimate and just deal a ton of damage too. Yeah, Mcginnis seems absolutely ridiculous the more I think about it, but also she probably sucks really bad early on. All right, so that's gonna be it for the characters. I do have different builds, like I have a support Ivy build and stuff like that, but I'm going to go over those more so in specified videos when I do like an Ivy support guide or a Viscous support guide. For now, what we're gonna be going over is the specific support items. So the soonest support item that you honestly get is healing, right? What this does is it just heals you over time. If you get hit, this gets canceled though. And something that's really cool about Ivy is you could share the healing with your teammates if you connect to them. You're also able to run around and just place it onto your teammates. For example, you're playing Ivy. This is the one game that you're actually stomping your lane pretty well, but you see that your teammate's struggling. You're just gonna fly on over, help him out, crowd control the enemy, and then while he backs up, you just like heal him up, and then he'll be good to go in a minute. And then you can get back to your lane. Second thing we have is Divine Barrier. This provides a bullet shield, spirit shield, and move speed. It's not a ton of move speed. You can kind of tell the difference, but it's not gonna be like the biggest thing in the world. What you're gonna use this for is like early game if you have a haze or a 7 or somebody who has an immobile ultimate that does a ton of damage, or you have like an Abrams going into the enemy team. As they're pushing up, you could just like quickly give them that, and that's 260 bullet and spirit shield for them. This is honestly an item that I skip fairly often, like if there's nobody on my team that can really use it, but it's still nice to have. So the next one we're gonna talk about is Health Nova. This is a direct upgrade from healing, right? And you sort of just heal yourself and allies for 260 HP, scaling an additional 20% per ally. So what that means is you see this like green radius, that's everyone you're healing. And the more allies that are in it, the more health it's gonna be. So I think the scale's up 120%. So like this 1250 item could heal your entire team for 520 plus another like 30. Let's just average it out and say about 600 damage. That's 3600 health every time you use this thing if you're hitting your entire team. It's a ton of heals. This is something that I pick up pretty early on. Like right at the end of laning phase, or if laning phase is going long, like near the end of it, because it just helps you and your team like continue to push up, continue to get the early guardians, and you don't really need to leave as much now that you have this added healing. Next item is Healing Booster. Super self-explanatory. All of the healing that you're now doing is increased by 25%. And it increases your resistance to healing reduction.
Swing by anytime.
And then we have Restorative Locket.
Swing by anytime.
I'm gonna be honest, this is a support item, so I put it in here. I almost never use it. When an enemy uses an ability within 54-meter range from you, you store 1 restoration stack, and then you can consume all the stacks to heal a target ally and replenish a stamina point. I think the main difference between this and Health Nova is that while this does replenish a stamina point too, it doesn't really heal your entire team. It's like a 1-person save. And while having this one like big burst of healing, once you get it stacked up, will be good. You then have to wait for it to get stacked up again. And it just seems very unreliable compared to say this Health Nova that's healing your entire team. Or the next item, Rescue Beam. Rescue Beam is a single target heal. You put it on a teammate and you can pull them. I already somewhat showed this off with Viscous, but it does pretty good healing. And there's a lot of different uses you could do for this. One, for example, that I have done very often is, come here. So say this was a Guardian we were fighting, we just killed it. We took it down, we secured all the souls. This guy thinks he's really strong. This guy wants to go 1v5 the team. I want to go to a different lane. I pull him back. 9 times out of 10, this guy realizes that that's what I'm wanting to do, and he's like, all right, cool, we're leaving, and we can all just like walk away. This can also be used, say you have your team 7 flying up in the air using his ultimate and he's dying. You could just like grab him and then pull him back behind something to save him. Or your teammate gets pulled by Mo and Krill, you're under your base. I can't really do it over here. Say I pulled this minion, I could pull my teammate and the Mo and Krill into this. The Guardian will then hit him in melee and stun him. I've done that under walkers a ton, and it feels really good just to like see Mo and Krill use his ultimate and try to kill one of your teammates and then just have him immediately die because you pulled him under the turret. And I have to sell one of these, so I'm gonna still lock it for now. Our next item is Heroic Aura.
It's brutal out there, huh?
So what Heroic Aura does is passively, you're giving fire rate to your little minions here. So this just helps your minions push faster, which isn't super important. What's more important is the active. You provide bonus move speed and fire rate to you and nearby allies. So like, see how big that radius is? That is a giant radius, and it's giving everyone another 2 move speed and 25% fire rate. So like, is this ended? That seems like it's pretty normal for a base kit. So like, that's how quickly it takes you in base kit to like go through a full clip. Now we use this, and you're giving that to basically your whole team. Look how big this is. I love this ability. This is one that I pick up on Ivy almost every time because I do like a mixed support gun build with her. And while this is not the best item for like a solo carry, it can make your team so much stronger with how big the radius is. All right, moving on. Goodbye Divine Barrier. We have Echo Shard, and I already talked about why I like Echo Shard with Viscous. This isn't something that I would ever buy on Ivy, but I guess you could use it to like use your 2 and then get it back or something. I want to see if that actually works since I just talked about it. Yeah, so that does work where like you use your 2, you Echo Shard it, and it gets back. So you could just have really long increased fire rate and bullet lifesteal, but I don't see it being the most useful for her specifically. For Ivy, this is what I would do for Viscous. And honestly, you could probably do it for Mcginnis too if it stacks, but I would have to check with that. What I would do for Ivy is Refresher.
Savior of Spanish Harlem.
So what you could do with Refresher now that no cooldowns is off
I got you.
is you go in, you start a team fight,
I'm not going down without a
you do a ton of damage to this guy while your team is doing stuff, and then you could go and you could heal your team, and you can make sure they're positioned in good places, and then you can get Heroic Aura off, and then you could Refresher, and you could do it all again while you're waiting for your cooldowns to come back. Like while you're waiting for your healing cooldowns to come back. So I would definitely go with Refresher more than Echo Shard on Ivy. But Echo Shard is good for specific characters. For example, Viscous's cube. All right, and then we just have honorable mentions down here, and the whole idea for these are that these are things that will help your carry, help to enable your carry, or help to shut down the enemy team. And it's slots that sometimes your carries don't really want to pick up. Really big example is Knockdown. If you have an enemy Vindicta and they're constantly flying in the air, your team's struggling to deal with them, you could just knock them down and stun them. Nobody else has to buy this item now. You just only use this on Vindicta and it's fine. Inhibitor is really great, especially since I go a more like bullet damage build with Ivy. Your bullets apply a movement slow and reduce the enemy's damage. So after you buy this, you don't have to heal as much now because the enemies are going to be dealing less damage. And then we're just gonna go forward from here. Decay reduces healing of enemies. So if you're in lane against like somebody who bought an early bullet lifesteal or an early spirit lifesteal, yeah, like an early bullet or spirit lifesteal, you could pick this up to shut them off. Or like mid game. Withering Whip reduces enemies' fire rate and reduces their bullet resist. So you're effectively making somebody deal less damage and take more damage. Really good early pickup. Slowing bullets. Your bullets slow down the enemies. Good to have. Silence Glyph fire projectile, which silences and damages the target. This is really great for channeled abilities. Like if there's an enemy Bebop or an enemy 7, you could just immediately end whatever's going on. They don't get their ultimate. And this is a 32-second cooldown, so whenever they get it again, you could just immediately turn it off again. This also forces those specific carry characters to go into Vitality and buy something like Unstoppable, and they have to pop this before their ultimate. And this is a 6,200 soul item. Silence Glyph is only 3,000. So for 3,000 souls, you're effectively putting an enemy carry back 6,200 souls. That's the best way to look at it, and you're definitely just shutting them down until they get that. And then we have Mystic Slow. When the target takes spirit damage, they have their movement speed and fire rate reduced. This is better, in my opinion, for somebody like Viscous, who's already building spirit damage, but like you could use it for Ivy's little E or like her 4 or her 3, I guess. But I don't know. I like to build Ivy with more like mixed weapon and health. Just because the more I'm flying around, the more I'm using my 3, the less time I have to like save people. And I've noticed a lot of the times, like if I'm flying around, I'm in an awkward spot now. Like I could drop this and then I have to like back up and I'm not really doing anything. I could drop this, not really doing anything again. And now I can go and support my team, and getting things like heroic aura, in my opinion, are a little bit better majority of the time. But this could be good on Ivy. Again, these are all like just choices that you could pick. I'm not saying these are the best choices that you could pick on every character. These are pretty standard. This is like a depends on your character. This is the only item you can get early game as a support. All right, then we have Toxic Bullets. Toxic Bullets is something that I pick up relatively often on Ivy because it applies a healing reduction on the enemy when you hit them with your bullets. It also does damage over time. I don't care about that. I care about the healing reduction because I want to shut down the enemy Infernus. I want to shut down the enemy Haze. I want to shut down anybody who's healing that my teammates can't kill because now they can. And then lastly, we have Alchemical Fire. And this is actually a pretty fun ability. So what this does is you throw a flask that explodes, and it does spirit damage within that area and causes enemies to take more weapon damage. Pretty big area. It deals damage, and now you're taking more damage too.
Infernus is down.
So this is actually something that I like on Ivy as well, because
Need a lift?
you could like one... All right, let me do that slower and actually explain it. So you could Alchemical Fire. 1, drop your bomb, and then drop down. And it does a ton of damage, and it increases all of the weapon damage that they're gonna take from that point on, because they're gonna be stuck for a little bit while they're slowed, and then they're gonna be slowed by your 1 too. All right, so let's just show it again real quick. You're flying in. X1 left. Alchemical 1, drop the bomb, stun. Really fun item, specifically on Ivy, but it's really good just with other people too. And that's going to be it for our little sport guide today. I hope this helps give people a different play style that they enjoy. And I'm going to start to put out more character specific guides in the future, starting with Ivy and Viscous, because I've been having a lot of fun with them. I'll probably mess around with the other 3 characters that I talked about in this video too, Kelvin, Dynamo, and Mcginnis, and get support guides for them out in the future as well. As always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if y'all want to help me out, please give the video a like, a comment, or consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks, and I hope you all have a great day.
Protoplasm.
Above, Mirage is above.
Yep, he's
On
the
the
last
catwalk.
one.
This will slow me down.
Got him.